I've been wanting to make these 3 elderberry recipes for over a year now, but I could have started with dried elderberries, but I really wanted to kind of take it up a notch and grow my own elderberry tree. So about a year ago, I went to greendreamsfl.com. They actually have a nursery right down the road from me, but they also ship their trees. And they had a native elderberry that I purchased and then I planted in the garden. The first year, the elderberry tree really didn't produce very much, and it kind of made me nervous because elderberries do require a pollinator tree, and I only had one. So I was kind of placing my bets on the fact that there might be native elderberries in my area that could pollinate with it, and it turned out to be true. So a year after I planted the tree, it did produce flowers, and those flowers did get pollinated by the trees in the area, and I was able to get a harvest. Now my harvest was really only this half-pint jar because a couple reasons. So number one, I let that tree get a little out of control and it grew very, very big, and I meant to keep it trimmed small. So by the time the berries were there and they were ripe, I really needed to cut that tree down. So if you didn't get a chance to see that video, I showed how I prune all my trees during the summer. Well, the elderberry fruits a little bit later than most of my other fruit trees, and I just didn't want it getting any bigger. And I also thought that the amount of berries that were on the tree that were ripe would be enough. And it looked like enough. It was an entire bowl. So when I cut the tree down and I gave it a really, really hard prune, I picked all of the berries off and then I dehydrated them. And when you dehydrate them, they become super tiny. Like even smaller than the berries are normally. Check this out. So the berries are super small. I don't even know what to compare that to. So that whole bowl of elderberries turned into this little half pint of dried elderberries, but that's perfectly fine. I think I can make do with this to make the 3 recipes I want to do today. And those 3 recipes are, we're going to do a elderberry syrup, a traditional syrup to use for cough and cold season. And then I'm going to make a tincture, also for cold season or flu season. And then the last one I'm going to make is just for fun, and that's going to be elderberry gummies. So I'm going to make little, basically health gummies with cranberry and elderberry. So before we get started, I wanted to pull off about 1/4 cup of these elderberries for a different recipe we're going to be doing, and that's going to be the tincture. I don't need a lot of tincture, so I just want 1/4 cup of the berries. So now that we have that separated, we're going to take our dried elderberries and we're going to drop them in a pot. To the dried elderberries, we're going to use 3 cups of water. Now you can use fresh elderberries. I've seen this before, but a lot of people use dry, just they're preserved that way. It's easier to hold them for a while. Like I harvested this months ago, and so being able to make it now when I have time versus, you know, having to do it right then when I'm in the peak of harvest time, especially around the fruit. I was doing so much canning. I'm also going to place a stick of Ceylon cinnamon. This isn't your typical cinnamon that you see in the store. This is a special cinnamon. It's actually the true cinnamon from an actual cinnamon tree. The other one we get from a different kind of plant. It's usually great for, you know, doing baking recipes and those kinds of things, but if you want the health benefits, you really want the Ceylon cinnamon. And we're just going to turn this on and we're going to heat it up to a boil, and then we're going to allow it to simmer for about 40-45 minutes. Now it is important that you cook the elderberries in some way, shape, or fashion. So having them dehydrated is a form of that cooking. The other way, of course, is what we're doing right here, is which we're going to boil it, because elderberries can have like a chemical in them that is not good for you to consume raw, especially, you know, in the branches, the roots, those kinds of things. It's not healthy for humans to eat. It's toxic. So we boil it uncovered. That's an important point here. You want to boil it uncovered so that the gases of that particular toxin comes out of the elderberry. Now these are already dry, so that's already occurred, so no concern there, but to get the syrup we have to do it anyway. If you want to use fresh elderberries, you're going to have to adjust the recipe, because obviously dried, more of them fit in a dried space than in a fresh state, so you're going to have to use more fresh elderberries than you would dried. Now, while we wait for this to come to a boil, I'm going to show you how easy it is to actually make the tincture. A tincture is made or preserved using alcohol, in a high alcohol content alcohol like vodka. It's pretty much the highest one we can get here. It used to be that we used to be able to get Everclear here in Florida, but that's illegal now. So vodka is the best that we can do. And you just need a little glass jar and some vodka. And we're just going to pour it until all those berries are completely covered. Like so. And that's it. Honestly, we're gonna put the top on this and we're gonna let it sit for about 6 to 8 weeks. So set a little reminder on your phone. Once the 6 to 8 weeks has come up, then you're going to strain off the berries. The liquid will be blue by then, which will be really pretty. And then you can put it in a bottle. I personally like to use these amber colored bottles. They're down in my Amazon store. All the stuff that we look at today will be down in the Amazon store, but it has a little dropper and then it has this amber bottle with a little funnel that helps getting that tincture in there. Once you have had the tincture steep, you know, in a cabinet, not in the refrigerator, it can be in a pantry for that 6 to 8 weeks, and you drain off the berries and you put it in here, it's gonna last like a really long time, 5, 10 years even. The alcohol is what preserves it. And then to take it, all you need to do is take a dropper full, so an entire dropper off of this, and then you can just drop it right into your mouth, or you can put it in some warm tea when you're not feeling well. Elderberry is a great medicinal to use when you're dealing with like cold and flu. It helps with immune system boosts, as well as it kind of just tastes good. Now, tinctures don't typically taste good. They taste a lot like medicine. So that's why we're making this syrup as well. If you're not feeling good, or maybe you're nauseous when you're sick, this is going to be a lot more palatable. Sorry. This is going to be a lot more palatable than something like this, which is sometimes a little bit hard to take. So we're just going to stick the top on this guy. And then I like to use a dry erase marker. And I'm just going to write the date that I need to get it out of storage. Then you just pop it in the cabinet and let it sit there for 6 to 8 weeks. That's all there is to that one. We are at the 45-minute mark, and so now our elderberries have simmered away and they are good to go, and we're going to strain them off. Now, the chemical or the toxin that you don't necessarily want to eat the berries raw is cyanide. And I know that sounds like really scary. There are many plants in nature that actually contain cyanide, sometimes in their pits or their seeds, sometimes in their leaves. So elderberry is one of those that contains it in the bark, in the roots, in the leaves, in the berries, in the seeds. It's pretty much all there. And I know that sounds kind of scary to be eating something that has cyanide in it, but it's really kind of common. But it's so simple to get rid of it, is just to boil it, you know. Now I boiled and then simmered. So I brought it to a really big raging boil or rolling boil. And then I simmered it for the 45 minutes and it reduced by about half. So now we're just going to filter that out. And then I'm going to squeeze out and make sure I get all the juices from the berries. And we ended up with 1 cup, so it reduced by more than half. The next thing I want to do is I want to put some honey in it. So while that's kind of cooling down a little bit, because we want it to cool just a touch so that we can put the honey in it without like killing all the good, you know, medicinal properties of the honey. And this is a raw honey that I get from a beekeeper near my area up here in Spring Hill. And little trick, if you have them in these big giant containers and they're not pouring, the thing that I do is I actually take them outside and put them on my pool patio deck in the sun, direct sun, for about an hour, and it softens the honey. So I only have to do that like once, I don't know, every like 3 or 4 months, and it will soften all that honey. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna let that cool for just a couple more minutes. Okay, the temperature has come down a bit, so we can now add our honey. And I'm just adding a cup of honey, so it's kind of like equal parts. And the liquid is still pretty warm, so that honey should dissolve pretty immediately. Honey's got to be the hardest thing to get out. It's so sticky. All right, so now we're just gonna stir that around and make sure that it, you know, incorporates completely with the elderberry juice, and that's going to make it more into a syrup. It's going to create that syrupy texture, that thick texture. Because of that, we're now up to 2 cups, and it has like immediately dissolved. Very cool. And because I can't seem to help myself, I have to put it in a cute, pretty bottle. And so I found these little bottles right here. They're like little cap top, like little, I don't know what you call these types of bottles, but the cap goes on the glass bottle and then it seals shut. And I thought this would be so cute in case I want to give it as gifts later, like for the holidays. So let's get these open and figure out a way to get this liquid in here without being too messy. And I'm thinking a dropper is probably going to be my best bet, but that's going to take a while. Yep, that's not the right way. Let's try a filter. Okay, let's see if this guy fits. Oh, that fits perfect. All right, so hopefully this will be easier. Oh yeah, that's the way to do it. Oh, that's a little close, but that'll work. Got a couple more bottles. I don't want to use it all because we do have the gummies that we need to make. So I still want to make the gummies, but I only need about a half a cup. So let's get the rest of these filled up and see how much we have left. They're so cute. All right, so we're at a cup now. I think I can get this last one done and still have enough for our gummies. There we go. All right, I think that's perfect. Man, that couldn't have turned out better if I had tried. All right, so let's seal these up. And now we have our elderberry syrup. Now these, because you know, they are berries that have been, you know, boiled and processed. They do last a while, but they're not really something that you can leave on the pantry shelf. These are things that you need to go in the refrigerator. Now, thankfully, the honey that's in here is a natural preservative, and so it is going to keep for quite a long time in the refrigerator. Probably, I would think like 6 months. Maybe even a year, because honey is something that will hold for a long period of time. So we're just going to stick these in the refrigerator. Now the last elderberry recipe is going to be gummy bears. I thought this would be so cute. I have wanted to make gummies for forever. I've never done it before, so we're doing it together. I did find a recipe. I'll put it down into the description, but it starts, I'm doing a double batch. So it's going to start with half a cup of the elderberry juice. Oh, it's kind of thick now. That's cool. All right, that was perfectly half a cup. And then to add a different kind of flavor, I'm going to use some home canned cranberry juice. This has no sugar in it. So thankfully the elderberry has some honey, and we're going to add some honey because otherwise this might be a little on the tart side. So let's get this open and let's do a half a cup. Oh, it smells so good. There we go. And aside from that, we're also going to do the juice of an orange. Now the recipe actually calls for a juice of lemon, an entire lemon, but my oranges are bigger. And since I'm doubling the recipe, I didn't think to do 2 oranges. I think it would be best just to do 1 large orange. And I didn't want to do lemon because I already have the tartness from the cranberries. I wanted something a little more sweet. Now this recipe is for any kind of juice. It's not necessary for just elderberry. I'm doing the elderberry because I want the health benefits, but you could use apple juice, you could use orange juice, you could use, I mean, pretty much any juice that you want. I think you want natural juices and not necessarily like the concentrated or the cocktails or anything like that. Got a piece of orange in there. Let's get that out. Now, in order to get it to basically become jelly, you know, like little bears, is you have to add some sort of gelatin. And I'm using a beef gelatin. There are some types of vegan or vegetarian type gelatin or plant-based gelatin, but I don't hear that they work as well as something like this. So there we go. I've never used this product before. I don't even know what it looks like or what it smells like. Okay. Doesn't really smell like anything. All right, we're gonna do, it calls for 3 tablespoons, but we're doing a double recipe, so we're gonna put 6. Definitely an interesting looking concoction here. It is already actually getting thick. Yeah, it's already gloopy, but I really wanna get all that. It's really just becoming jelly very, very quickly. All right. So we're gonna let this sit for 5 minutes. Check this out, you guys. 5 minutes and the thing is already basically jelly. It does come together like not even cooking, but we need to add honey to this and we need to get it back into a liquid form so we can get it in the little gummy bear trays. So I'm gonna put it in a pot. And then we're going to add a half a cup of honey. And we're just going to put this on really super low because we just need it to kind of turn into a liquid. We're not cooking it. You don't want this to boil because I think it breaks down the gelatin, the beef gelatin, and then you end up with, you know, either a bad taste I hear, or maybe, you know, the bears don't solidify anymore. So we're just going to keep stirring this until it becomes a liquid again. All right, we are back to a liquid now. You can see I have some gelatin that didn't break up properly, but that's okay. We are back to a liquid. I'm going to turn that heat back down to low because I want to keep this kind of heated so I keep the liquid from turning back into that jelly again. And now we're going to get it into our little bears. Let's see how this goes. Okay, that's pretty easy. This is the tedious part, obviously. But I cannot wait. I hope I get the cutest little bears. I'm just going to keep stirring, making sure I keep a liquid and not too much foam on the top. So of course, as I was pouring the bears, my camera decided it didn't want to participate anymore. But we went ahead and we got all the little liquid into the bears. I didn't get all of the foam off. So there is like these little bears that have like a little bit of foam on them. I let them set for about 10 minutes and now I'm going to just stick them in the fridge. And here they're going to set, and here they're going to set for about 2 hours. Just to let them completely firm up. So the bears have been in the fridge for 2 hours now and it's time to pop them out and see if they hold together. So I have a little bowl because these do have to be refrigerated once you take them out. They can't be, they're not shelf stable. Let's see. Oh my God, they're so cute. Oh, they're stuck together. They're so cute. So here they are. Are they not the cutest thing ever? Oh my gosh, they're so adorable. I haven't tried one yet, but they do have, I will say, I wish I would have gotten the foam off of them because they kind of have like this, some of them have like a little foam edge to them, which I mean, it's still edible. I'm sure it's fine. So let's try one. Oh my gosh, those are so adorable. And they're good. They definitely have the honey taste. I wonder if you could do these with like regular sugar. I bet if you used regular sugar, they would taste a little bit more like regular gummy bears because they definitely have like a honey taste to them. I'm picking up a little bit of the elderberry. I'm not picking up any of the cranberry. It reminds me of like a honey orange. The orange comes through. Definitely the orange comes through. So like a honey orange gummy bear. It's really, really good. And they're so cute. It's probably the cutest thing I've ever made. I hope you guys had fun with me today doing 3 different elderberry recipes. We have our syrup, we have our tincture, and now we have our elderberry gummy bears. So make sure to get out there and try making one or all of these medicinals and head down into the comment and let me know what you think.